If you're a maintenance supervisor for a commercial property, you've had to deal with everything from leaky faucets to flickering light bulbs. But nothing's worse than that ancient boiler that's lived in the building since the day it was built, 50 years ago. It's enough to make anyone lose their cool. That's where Grainger comes in. With industrial-grade products and dependable fast delivery, Grainger can help with any challenge, from worn-out components to everyday necessities. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Now, there was a break because of the internet having died, and I'm BZ, and that's Ken McCLENTON. We were talking, and of course we were talking, dummy, it's a talk show. And basically what I was saying is, Ken McCLENTON, thank you for your kindness, because to some, it helped me quite a bit after retirement. You helped me quite a lot, and for that, I will always be grateful.
And likewise unto you. And actually, that's not what we were talking about, BZ, which you told me to be quiet. Those winning numbers for Friday's lotto, we just gave them out. I'm so sorry that we went off the air. We won't be able to repeat them because I ate them. So sorry. So sorry, everyone.
Yeah. You could have all had a part in multi-millions of dollars, folks. Now, because there would have been so many winners having listened to the show, your take would have been smaller, but still, it's sad to know that the internet works so poorly here that you guys missed the winning numbers. I didn't write them down, and Ken can't replace them again. And damn it, Jim, I had a whole bunch of people in the chat room, and this thing died, and they all went. They all left.
They all went. They're gonna reboot.
Yeah,
they're gonna reboot.
Okay, folks, if you're listening to me, which you probably aren't, I hope you have the sense to still stay here. Just refresh the page, and it'll come back. Oh, Ken, this has been such a pain for me since I left downtown Sacramento, the actual SHR Media studio, the internet at my wife's house, courtesy of Frontier. And they say Frontier Communications, but they don't communicate. There's no communication going on the internet with Frontier. It's more like Frontier tin can, string, piano wire, and chewing gum.
Well, at least they supply the chewing gum.
Yeah.
Stop complaining.
Yeah. And the cool thing is, in my new house, the internet is much, much, much more robust. It can take great upload and download speeds. And it's already been plumbed for fiber optic. So I will be going fiber optic. I can't wait for that. Ooh,
Congrats, man.
It's like, ooh.
Congrats.
Fiber optic. So anyway, that's why I'm saying, Ken, I was so appreciative to you, so appreciative to the Sackheads. Sean moved on. Clint had to move on. We're not going to see Sean back. We're not going to see Clint back. Clint said he would occasionally come on the show, maybe just to chat for a little bit. But even then, he has to be very careful what he's talking about for obvious reasons. Because after 2020, things got stupid. Things got way off the rail. Yeah.
And his limo got larger, too. So parking's going to be a problem.
As did his nose. However, his nose being so large, some people with smaller vehicles, like a smart car, might be able to use his nose as a brief garage. So welcome back to Clint Nose Jokes.
Exactly. He was the original GPS. Wherever he pointed was the right direction.
Yeah. Nothing like making fun of folks. I'm going to get into politics, and then I may come back and be maudlin again. But Ken and I do politics, and that's one of the major motivators for the show, plus the fact that I can do any damn thing I want because it's my show.
It's your show.
The media completely buried a poll that came out on March 13th, just 4 days ago. And it's a poll that turned out to be very shocking. It wasn't rebroadcast anywhere. My guess would be, Ken, you probably covered it. There are, I think it was a Quinnipiac poll that came out. A shockingly high number of people said that would they stay and fight for their country if we, the U.S., were invaded like Ukraine? Well, the results turned out to be shocking and incredibly sobering and actually disgraceful. 68% of Republicans said they would stay and fight. That's
only
sad.
68%.
That's sadly low. I was expecting more, with 25% indicating that they'd run away. That's Republicans. Independents, those numbers were lower. 57% would stay. 36% would leave. Then there are the Democrats. They're in negative territory. 40% said they would stay. Over half said they would leave. Among 50 to 64-year-old men and women, the stay-leave numbers are 66 to 28. Among 18 to 34-year-olds, they are 45-48. Or to put it another way, a majority of prime-aged younger Americans whom the U.S. would need for defense if such a crisis existed would leave, would flee if that ever came.
Well, I must say, I'm shocked by both of the stats, the Republican stats and the Democrat.
Hey, it's Ryan Seacrest. Life comes at you fast, which is why it's important to find some time to relax. A little you time. Enter Chumba Casino. With no download required, you can jump on anytime, anywhere for the chance to redeem some serious prizes. So treat yourself with Chumba Casino and play over 100 online casino-style games, all for free. Go to ChumbaCasino.com to collect your free welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Stats. I'm shocked at the unpatriotic nature that has been acclaimed now by the rhinos, the Republicans, that they would not, 98% of them, I can understand a 2%er, but 98% of real Republicans should be able to stand and fight for this great republic. The Democrats, I'm shocked because the other 60% were offered free airfare to Russia, to China, Venezuela, but that they want to stay is only because they want to be on welfare for the next oppressive regime that may follow. So, I'm shocked by that, absolutely shocked. But in all seriousness, it just shows the impact of public education since the late 1800s in America and how that drip, drip, drip process eventually got us to not only hate ourselves, but to hate our country, and more importantly, to hate God. In fact, we have gotten to a point where we are achieving exactly what Karl Marx wanted for the world, to kill God and to destroy capitalism. And we got so many people who are apologists for the tyrants of this particular world and have forgotten that it was because of the tyrants that we created the greatest experiment in political and economic history, the United States of America.
It's funny you should mention that. When I spoke to Scott Brown last Tuesday night, a couple of nights ago, the thing that he said that got him through was his faith. He was a man of faith before he got into this. And it should shock nobody to realize or understand that his faith grew even stronger through all of that. He had an extraordinary wife. He had an extraordinary support system. And it's funny you should mention that, Ken McCLENTON, because I'm looking at an article. This is from February the 18th. This is coming here, not in the too terribly distant future, I believe, if we keep on this course. Lawmaker on trial. This is from Fox News. Lawmaker on trial in Europe for religious views is a cautionary tale for the United States. The Alliance Defending Freedom International's Lorcan Price said Americans are lucky to have the First Amendment. But the biggest question, of course, is for how long? A criminal case involving religious expression in Finland. Nobody ever thinks of Finland. Finland was allied with Russia, in case you may or may not know. May seem obscure and irrelevant to many Americans, but those involved in the case said it could have implications far beyond Europe. A Finnish member of the parliament and a Lutheran bishop are both facing charges of ethnic agitation for expressing traditional Christian views on marriage and homosexuality. If convicted, both could face fines and time in prison. Now, you mentioned God, and you mentioned government, and you mentioned families, Ken McCLENTON. Leftists, Leninists, Marxists, Democrats want government to be God. That is the only God that they wish to be allowed. And so when we don't take our proper place in world affairs as a strong nation, we imperil the rest of the planet. And then those who are stronger and evil, and this is all about good versus evil. Folks, if you think that what's going on now has anything to do with Republicans and Democrats, yeah, it does to a minimal degree. This is about good and evil. I don't think I've played this for you. I've played it a number of times on the show. Ken McCLENTON. Oh, gosh, did I go past? Oh, no, I got 3 more minutes. I have enough time to play this. And then when we come back from the break, Ken McCLENTON, I'd like you to weigh in on this. This is Tucker Carlson and Jason Whitlock talking back and forth, and this is what they say is truly going on right now. When we come back, I'd like Ken McCLENTON to opine on this.
What do you think? I've always wondered this. Like, what is the actual support for the ideas? Not, do you like Trump or Biden? But, for example, do you think men can get pregnant? Or do you think some races are morally superior to other races? Like, the core idea is the Democratic Party. How many Americans actually believe that stuff, would you guess?
I don't think 5% of America believes it, maybe 10%. I don't know. Tucker, I'm going to say something that's difficult to unpack in this short amount of time, but it's what I truly believe. I think a lot of what the left supports is satanic. I'm just sorry. It's in direct objection to God and in direct objection to the Judeo-Christian values that were at the foundation of this country. And those Christian values are why we made so much progress in terms of freedom and humanity and the way we treat everybody. Yes, it was hard, but our Christian values compelled us to sacrifice our lives for the freedoms of other Americans, of slaves. And through the civil rights movement, our Christian values compelled us to take risks and fight for equality and the equality of opportunity for everybody. I see a lot of what's going on here and I'm just sorry. I'm a man of faith. I was raised in the church. This stuff is satanic. That's what's at the foundation of a lot of this stuff.
Well, I'm a pretty mild Protestant personally, but I completely agree with you, especially the gender stuff. When you say you can change your own gender by wishing it, you're saying you're God. And that is satanic. I completely agree.
And with that, we're going to take a break. I'm BZ.
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
That's Ken McCLENTON. I'd like Ken McCLENTON's thoughts on that when we come back. You're in the Saloon, the final show in California.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
It is he that is me, bringing perspective from across the sea. Join me, Jack Alexander, 4 days a week for the Jack Alexander Experiment podcast, as I take a unique outsider's look at the news and issues affecting life and liberty here in the USA. I'll show you what the mainstream media refuses to. Politics, border security, defense, healthcare, travel, nothing is off limits. Catch the Jack Alexander Experiment podcast each Monday to Thursday on Facebook, YouTube, and everywhere good podcasts can be found. Also, check out the website, www.jackalexanderexperiment.com.
Come listen to the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, Tuesday and Thursday nights at 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, for the best in late-night conservatarian wireless talk radio at shrmedia.com. Raised as a free-range child with dirt and freedom, BZ is broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California. Jump into our plush, sumptuous, palatial, and resplendent chat room at shrmedia.com. Now, with 18% more umbrage and 20% more bulbosity than previous shows, and with delicious Liberty additives. Remember, BZ realizes that with great beard comes great responsibility. No chinchillas were harmed, embarrassed, or the focus of any sarcasm whatsoever in the making of this ad.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
After 6 years covering terror and corruption, the Unpleasant Blind Guy is making a change. I'm Dave Milner. Join me on Spreaker and YouTube through SHR Media and on the Western Free Radio Network as I team up with Jeff Mitchell, host of the English Defense League radio show on blogtalkradio.com. Check show pages for air times. It's the Unpleasant Blind Guy.
On EBL Radio.
There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And we're back. I am BZ, the bloviating Zeppelin. And with me in the saloon tonight is Ken McCLENTON from TECN-TV, the Exceptional Conservative Network TV. This is my last show here. My last show in California, always spell it with a K. And I'm going to be wrapping up the studio. And to let everybody know that it'll probably be, I'm guessing, 2 months. I hope it's not more than 3 months before I get everything together. We're leaving and moving from California to a new free state. We're doing it next Friday, not tomorrow, next Friday. We've got, we're going to be taking a 16-hour or 17-hour marathon drive, no stopping, no overnights, because the moving van has said that we're the first offload. So we got to be there to make sure everything is ready. And, of course, it's 2 households now. We have to decide what to keep, what to get rid of, and in the process then me trying to understand what it is that what I'm going to do for the studio. Because I want to come back, and Ken, I think I already talked to you about this. You've got video. Well, when I left the SHR Media Studios downtown, I had video. But the internet here couldn't do audio and video at the same time, so I chose just audio. because the video, there's no way this thing, I tried it once, and it died. It died a terrible death. So I could only do audio, and I do audio, as people tonight have listened, I do audio poorly because the internet dies here as well. But ideally, I like to come back with audio on Spreaker and then do some streaming video. And if I'm not mistaken, you have a program called vMix that you use, if I'm not mistaken, KEN McCLENTON.
Yeah, but if you already have a software and you use RTMP, you can still use the RTMP with my particular offshore network and get through. And this is what I've always wanted. I've always wanted a marriage between SHR Media and TECN-TV.com. And the reason was simple. With all of us as men, I thought marriage would be okay out in California. But, you know. But I really would love, and this is just public notice to everyone. It's not a shock or a surprise. I've been recruiting BZ since he came out of the NCAAs. And I would love DZ to do 2 a night at 11 p.m. Eastern on my television network because your voice is a magnificent one that needs to be heard, and one that makes change. It makes a great change. But, you know, also the real reason that he has to take that 16-hour tour is because the CGB will be chasing him. The California Guardian Bureau, likened him to the KGB in Russia. So once he gets past the state lines, he will be in a chase for the next 15 hours. And so to get where he needs to be. But in all sincerity, I would love to work with you doing video. And I didn't make this announcement on my show tonight, but I will be making it privately first with the individuals, the host of my particular network on Sunday, and then next week make the announcement. But at the beginning of April, we'll be broadcasting on Rumble as well. So I really want you to be a part of that particular journey for me. And really want you to be a part of TECN-TV.com, at least in partnership with you airing your show on my particular network.
Well, that'd be great. I can.
And you know what? Just one other quick thing. If I had known that you were law enforcement, I would never have offered you that kilo when we met in Vegas. I'm sorry. I do apologize.
Well, you were kind enough. Your humility was such that when I said I had a bad cold and I really didn't want to put anything up my nose there during the time, you accepted that with grace and honor. So back at you, sir.
Thank you very much.
I appreciate that.
I'm so sorry that Hunter was there and trying to force you, but I really appreciate you.
In retrospect, I'm really glad I didn't go there. There are stories we could tell. Oh, my God. In any event, I'm still going to be on Spreaker because I like audio. I like just audio. I mean, at a time when I was downtown at SHR, I'd start Spreaker, then I'd start Facebook, then I'd start YouTube, then I'd start Periscope, back when Periscope existed. So I was streaming on 3 platforms, video, and then doing audio as well. But one very important big caveat, that's when I had assistance, technological assistance, in the form of Sackhead Sean. And as everybody knows who listens to my show, I am, in fact, a bumbling doofus. I am a techno-Luddite of the first degree. And the only reason I can start Spreaker is because I've started it so many times, I can almost but not quite do it in my sleep.
Well, actually, you were more confident than Clint.
I forgot. Oh, my God. Okay, this is the first time I'm doing this tonight. but that's actually true because Ken nailed it. Okay, everybody that's listened to the show knows that I'm ancient, fuzzy, fat. I am the poster child for comorbidities. I'm it. Have you seen this COVID victim lately on the side of a milk carton? That would be me, if you see it right there. And I'm not trying to make light of people who have died because of this, but there's a massive degree still in terms of or with. That's a story for another day. But having said that, my technological abilities at my age are so far superior than Clint, who at the time was in his early 40s and still is in his 40s. Dude, I got 3 decades on you, and he still can't start a computer. This is no lie. Sean and I digress, but it's my show and I get to. We put a laptop.
You know that he called the Microsoft hotline to figure out how to do that.
No, he did that on the air. We put this is no shit, Ken. There were occasionally we'd put out photographs of the studio. When there were 3 people there and we were doing the Sackheads show, the guy that controlled the show sat in a corner. And then 2 other guys across the room, because it was a big room we rented. We actually paid money for a studio. And the other 2 guys would be at sort of an L-shaped desk. Clint on one side, myself on the other, and Sackhead Sean would run the show, and we had a whole bunch of wires on the carpet. Well, we gave Clint a laptop because Clint said one day, I'd like to be able to look at the chat room. So there was an older laptop that we opened up, and Sean took pains to make sure that it functioned, it worked fine. We put it in front of Clint, opened it up, the first show. Now, and Sean was so proud of himself because he had to string more lines and do more connections so that Clint could hear and look at this laptop and see what was going on in chat. Sackhead Sean was proud of himself, as well he should have been. Clint opened it up for the first show, couldn't figure out, and Sean had just shown him what to do. And Clint couldn't do it. So that was the first and the last time that Clint even thought about getting into the chat room, because it involved a laptop, which was a computer, which did not compute with him at all. No way. No bueno. Didn't work. So, and it's like, in today's age, how do you get away with that? I mean, I'm stupid. I'll be the first one to admit I'm stupid. But gosh, even Clint was thicker than me. That's saying something. That's really saying something. Oh, my God.
Absolutely true. When you ask Clint to plug in something, he comes back and asks you where you plug it at.
Yeah.
That was Clint. That was Clint. But Clint was there because...
Hey, it's Ryan Seacrest. Life comes at you fast, which is why it's important to find some time to relax. A little you time. Enter Chumba Casino. With no download required, you can jump on anytime, anywhere for the chance to redeem some serious prizes. So treat yourself with Chumba Casino and play over 100 online casino-style games, all for free. Go to ChumbaCasino.com to collect your free welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Because he was sexy. So all the chicks dug him.
Oh,
so that's
good God. And again, the stories I can tell. Okay, I got to tell you. Okay, the second time I came back, this was not the first time when you were there, Ken. You probably have your own story about this. I'm not going to ask you. The second time we went back to Freedom Fest, we went there in 2016, which is where I met you. In 2017, Sean and Clint and I went back and met a whole host of new people, interviewed tons of people, blah, blah. While we were there... where was that? That wasn't Planet Hollywood. Gosh, I can't remember where it was. But in any event, Sean and Clint were probably throwing money at slots and things like that. Did I say slots or sluts? In any way, moving along, I was sitting
Be careful with your credit cards.
I know. I was sitting in a lounge across from a bar. I wasn't sitting at a bar, but I was sitting at a lounge. And I think, as a matter of fact, I was waiting for Sean and Clint to get through and come back. And then we were going to have a couple of drinks and then figure out where we're going to go for dinner. So I'm sitting there now, folks. I think I've described myself before, ancient, old, obese, somnambulistic, bearded, long-haired, but bald on top. I am the exact antithesis of things that one would hit on. Perhaps if you're blind, like all the women that say they want to get to know me on Facebook. Why so many blind women? I just don't get it. But anyway, literally, I am there in a bar in Las Vegas, and a chick who could not have been more than 22 comes up to me, sits down, leans over, and says, "Want to go upstairs?" Okay, now, this hasn't happened to me since I was in my 20s, where I was thin and virile and whatnot, and the first thing I thought of is the exact same thing that I think when I see that in Facebook is, God, do I want to screw a blind gal? But it's just astounding. I actually, at my age and weight and size and ugliness, I actually got hit on by a Las Vegas hooker, and I didn't have to throw rocks at her.
There you go. See, you are one better than me, because no one ever. No, well, then again, it was that man dressed in the drag who had the cigarette tray walking around the lobby area talking about cigarettes.
Yeah. Cigars, cigarettes, Tipperillos. Dave in chat says, you know what the ladies say, the bigger the nose, ... And Dave Miller in chat always says, blind folks do it with feeling.
Exactly.
Okay, well, can't deny that.
There you go.
I'm going to be making
and also,
some...
they come with their own stick. So, yeah.
Good
Works
point.
out well.
Yeah. Good point. Now, how do I segue from that to something serious? And the answer is not easily.
Not easily.
Not easily at all. But there's something going on that I think a lot of people are not paying attention to. And what we discover is the longer we're on this planet, Ken McCLENTON, it's being proven time and again that everything that Donald John Trump, OMB, the guy with the dead orange cat on his head, said beginning in 2016 has turned out to be completely true. One of those was China is our primary enemy, and it isn't Russia. The next couple of stories that I talk about... Oh, no, let me stop right here. God dang it, I have no memory. I played that bit between Tucker Carlson and Jason Whitlock, and I forgot, Ken McCLENTON, to ask you to weigh in on that. And to me, they represent what's truly going on here. As I indicated before the break, if you think that all of what's going on now, folks, is between just two parties, I won't even name the parties, but if you think it's just two parties, you're not seeing the big picture. Because I really think that it does get down to good versus evil. And I'll wager, Ken McCLENTON, that's a topic that you discuss at length on your show.
It's ad nauseum. The bottom line is that the greatest defense that we had during the Revolutionary War was the faith of the people. And the people were so committed to God and committed to this republic that they were willing to take on the greatest superpower in world history known to that date, the British Empire. And they fought King George with fervor, with a sense of fanatic sensibility. And there were time periods where George Washington and others were depressed over the fact that things weren't moving as swiftly, but the people of the colonies didn't give up. They kept fighting, they kept going, they kept striving, and eventually at Yorktown, and very few people know this, but 1/3 of the soldiers at Yorktown were black soldiers, defeated the British, and we became a great republic since that time period. And even George Washington says in his inaugural speech that it was because of our relationship with the sovereign, with God. Unfortunately, we have allowed the Marxists to interject themselves in seminaries, in our pulpits, in our Bible studies, in our prayer groups. They've gotten truly intimate with us, so much so that they use that intimacy to convince people to believe that God wanted them to do everything that's not in the Bible because that's the way God thinks. And if he didn't think that way, then he wouldn't be God, which is another example of Genesis 3 gone wild. So in a nutshell, you're absolutely right. And Whitlock is right as well. This is all satanic. This is all, at this particular point, a battle for the sovereignty of mankind. Evil has prevailed over the pulpits of America. It has prevailed in our classrooms. It's prevailed in our economy. It's prevailing in our government. It's prevailing in our families. The only person left to fight is you, the individual. And God says, I didn't take you out of this world, but I left you in the world to be a light to this world. And as long as we fight this fight in cowardice, basically appeasing the left so that we will be left alone and no one's going to bother us anymore, we're going to continue to lose everything that our founding fathers fought for. We need to have, I wish there was a patent. You know what I'm saying? I wish there was a crazy old patent who would just come forward and just tell you we need to kick their asses across the tundra, free the people of Russia, free the people of China, and allow freedom and liberty to reign forever and get rid of our threats. But the greatest threat isn't China and the greatest threat isn't Russia. The greatest threat is that Marxist professor who's sitting in your child's classroom teaching him that it's okay to hate another man because of the sins of his father. That's dangerous.
Folks, those who do not know history are essentially doomed to repeat it, said George Santayana. And what I've learned, if nothing else, is that for whatever reason, Democrats, leftists, Marxists, Leninists, people who believe in government, organizations, bureaucracies, etc., somehow seem to think that the core, the base fundamentals of bad humanity don't somehow seep into government itself. That's why they believe in government and not God, and why they want to take God out of everywhere, because government needs to be a replacement for God. They forget that in terms of human fundamentals, bullies exist. Evil exists on the planet, in one's life, in a nation, on the globe. And I've never understood the elements that seem to think that we had this discussion probably 6 months ago. Ken, do you remember when I had the round table?
Brought all the pastors together.
And we got everybody together and we discussed about evil. Does evil exist? And is man fundamentally good or fundamentally evil? And we had a great discussion about that, a wonderful discussion about that. My belief then, just because of my nature and all the things that I've seen and done over the years, is that Man is not essentially inherently good. Man needs to learn to be good. Religion is that which helps to keep man in line. If you throw everything else away about religion, the 10 Commandments tell you essentially how to live a good life, an honest life, an honorable life. But people seem to think, leftists seem to think, that these fundamental core base elements of human nature just don't exist. Evil exists because it's easy. It's easy. It's easy to say yes. It's hard, it's difficult to say no in life. And it comes down to what I learned in law enforcement is this: thug's law. And people have said, okay, well, I know what you say when you tell me about thug's law, but how does it translate? It translates in everyday's application. Thug's law is this. Thug's law refers initially to criminals, but it's applicable to everything. And it's very simple. Thug's law is what's mine is mine, and what's yours is mine, unless you're strong enough to stop me. Well, now, how does that translate to today's society and politics? It's very easy. Some people have said historically to me, well, California can't do that, or, well, the government can't do that, or the FISA court can't do that, or Obama can't do that, or Biden can't do that. And the answer to it is, you're arguing law, but that's absolutely immaterial if there's no one there to oppose them or take umbrage to it or rise as one to face it and go against what is wrong. So many governments, individuals, and organizations these days revolve around the thug's law. It's immaterial whether it's legal or not. If they can get away with it and there is no opposition, they are going to do it. Evil respects only strength. Criminals respect only strength.
Exactly. You know, one of the most amazing things about the Trump administration took place in his first meeting with Xi Jinping, and they were eating dinner together. And while he was eating dessert, which he admired, the chocolate cake that he was eating, he had called for a strike on Syria and blew the Syrians off the fucking map, forgive my French, at a level.
How to have fun, anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Woohoo!
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
They hadn't seen lethality of that nature in the entire experience of dealing with America. And someone came over to him and announced that the strike had taken place, but he announced it loud enough where Xi Jinping could hear him. And Donald Trump relayed, or his assistants relayed, the fact that Xi Jinping had a look on his face of not only fear but awe, that he would do this right at this particular moment. And I'm going to be honest with you, Donald Trump has Xi Jinping's number. That's why we have COVID today. He had his number, and he was calling that number often. Unlike Joe Biden, who just figured out the telephone number today, and will call tomorrow in terms of Xi Jinping. Trump had mastered Xi Jinping. And the thing about it all was Donald Trump was saying to Xi Jinping silently, I can crush you. I choose not to. You're going to respect me, and you're going to revere me. And that's just the way it's going to work. He did the same thing at NATO. He did the same thing in Latin America. You're going to respect me, and you're going to revere me, because you're not going to have any other choice. He acted as a bully on the main stage because he needed to. Evil only appreciates something that's stronger than it is. And being a weak pansy, apologizing, appeasing right-winger doesn't make you strong enough to change anything in America. The Democrat Marxists are celebrating the fact that there are states that refuse to pass election integrity laws a year after the Democrat Marxists stole the 2020 election. Literally stole it right in your face, took the internet with countries from Italy and China and Russia and France, our friend, Italy, our friend. And they stole our election electronically, and the Democrat Marxists lied about it. And then they said, once you found out about it, so what? What are you going to do? And what did we do? We caved. And so men and women who cave to evil get the results of the evil that persists. And so we're actually, while the rest of the world has been facing an evil and oppression like they've never seen before, whether it be Nigeria, whether it be Ukraine, or Eastern Europe, no matter what, there is a release upon the earth like you have never seen, and the U.S. is just getting there. We just woke up, we just put our pants on, and evil is really abundantly clear. When you have Ketanji Brown Jackson selected as a Supreme Court nominee, when you compare her to Clarence Thomas, who understands the Constitution, she only understands Marxism and is a great gifter to the pedophiles, the sex offenders, and the molesters of her day. She is someone who sides with the 1619 Project. She's someone who sides with social justice warriors like Black Lives Matter, and she sides with Antifa. So the bottom line is evil says, we took this from you. We didn't even use Vaseline. And you know what? We ain't finished yet. There's another homie who's going to be right behind you and another one after that. So either Americans are going to have to stop bending over backwards or forwards and accepting the fate of evil, or we're going to rise up like we should have done and cut it off at the neck.
Folks, that's Ken McCLENTON. I'm BZ. We'll be right back after this. I'm going to tell you a terrible tale of what happens like the sword of Damocles over our little necks, and then you're going to hear the people that are, air quotes, leading, air quotes, you today.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Southern Sense is conservative talk with Annie, the radio chick Ubellis as host and C.S. Bennett co-host. Informative, fun, irreverent, and politically incorrect. You never know where they'll go, but you'll love the journey. Annie is a top conservative host on Top Talk Radio and features some of the finest guests packed with important politicians and newsmakers. Listen every Friday, 3 to 6 p.m. Eastern, noon to 3 Pacific on the SHR Media Network. Remember, Southern Sense is common sense.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and among these, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Hi, this is Eric Thompson. Please check out my new Week in Review show, For Liberty's Sake, Saturday mornings, 10 a.m. Pacific Time. Check out forlibertysake.com.
Hey, are you guys listening? This is Shannon from Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM on SHR Media. I know you've been wondering where we are and what's been going on. Well, folks, that's right. We're back. So please join us 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday on SHR Media, on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, and Spotify, and Facebook Live at 11 a.m. on Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM at Facebook. You don't want to miss a minute. We've got lots of guests, lots of segments, and lots of interesting things. And let's face it, there's nowhere for you to go, so you might as well tune in. Again, Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. We're back live on the air on SHR Media, 7 to 9 a.m. Monday through Thursday, audio and Facebook Live, audio and video. Yes, we are going to do video. Facebook Live, Right Way with Shannon and Mike in the AM. Hope to see you soon.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
And I'm back. It's the final 25 minutes of the final show on the SHR Media Network. Hey, I've been distracted in chat. It's Lusty Dominique in the chat room herself, saying good morning, everyone. This is wonderful. Lusty, thank you ever so kindly for being in chat tonight. I greatly appreciate it. We are lucky to be bestowed with your presence. Now, while we're here, I wanted to go into this, and I was actually going somewhere with KEN McCLENTON. People aren't paying attention. People seldom pay attention, particularly now when everything used to be Russia, Russia, Russia. Now everything is Ukraine, Ukraine, Ukraine. I haven't even touched that tonight. But here is a huge issue that people are not talking about. This is from the Washington Free Beacon. Saudis mull ditching U.S. dollar for China's yen in oil sales. Saudi Arabia is considering selling oil to China in yen rather than the U.S. dollar, according to a Wall Street Journal report. Now, you should logically be asking tons of questions. One thing we know about the American media maggots these days is that they have no curiosity and they ask no questions. That's one story. Then there's another story that came out. China stocks leap after State Council pledges support for economy and capital markets. This is from Reuters. Hong Kong stocks jumped 9% to mark their best day since 2008 after China's top policymaker assured markets of stability and support and helped put a floor under sectors hurt by a regulatory crackdown. And then there's this. The BRICS nations are exploring new trade payment channels in the aftermath of sanctions. That was just 2 days ago. Now, what are the BRICS nations? Nobody knows what this is. The BRICS nations are a consortium along with China, along with Russia, and every one of America's enemies to make sure that the American dollar is removed as the global reserve currency. Our strength in America these days comes from the fact that the dollar is the link with which most trades are made on this planet. The BRICS nations, that stands for Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. So the BRICS nations want they're searching for a new trade payment channel following all these sanctions. And what they want it to be is not the dollar. Well, what do we know about Saudi Arabia? They have OPEC. And if they decide to abandon the U.S. dollar for China's yen, how did they get there? Why this decision? It gets down into, for the Middle East, religion. Now, I'm going to tell people something that no one thinks of or considers, but you should, as to how the Middle East functions. There are two sects of Islam, and historically they have been generally bitter enemies. There are the Sunni and the Shia, and they look at the Quran in different ways. The Saudis are Sunni. There are some Shia in Saudi Arabia. Iran is Shia. So these two nations have fundamentally different religious oppositions in terms of Islam. Yes, they're both Islamic. The Saudis are aligned with the Sunni, and Iran is aligned with the Shia. The Saudis are pissed off because, folks, what's been happening with Iran? Well, let's see. Obama shipped them billions of dollars of cash on pallets in a C-17 late at night. And that was to curry favor for the Iran nuclear deal. Biden has decided to continue with that. There is not one deal that I can think of involving the United States where Iran has honored any deals. The allegation is to keep Iran from becoming a nuclear state. But what happened with the Saudis is we've curried or are attempting to curry favor with the Iranians over the Saudis. So the Iranians, in the Saudis' eyes, have already been favored with the Iran deal. And additionally, Biden has made noise to Iran like, we want your oil. We won't drill ourselves, but we don't mind you drilling for us, and we'd love, would you please...
Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you want to get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather, now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply.